Despite 2024 seeming like a lackluster year for the industry, with Nintendo in their transitionary phase and Sony dropping the ball for whatever reason, it was still a good year full of good games. At least it was for me. And so these are my top 5 games for 2024. Number 5, Crow Country. I mean, how can I not include this one? A throwback to classic survival horror. I mean, there's been a few recently with like Elisa, but Crow Country tops them all, dude. I loved this game. You play as a girl named Mara, exploring a haunted theme park, with the story being drip-fed to you with little breadcrumbs here and there through all the other characters. You still got the limited resources, the spooky atmosphere, the occasional jump scares, actually more than occasional. I seriously just loved this, and I can't wait to own it on physical and play it again. Number 4, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. It got a kind of understandably mixed reception, mostly due to the echo system. You know, like having to scroll through the entire list every time you want to pick one, and there's like 200 whatever, but you only pick the same few 10 to 20 to get you through the game. It is kind of easy because there's infinite solutions to all the puzzles that you can just work out yourself with whatever echoes you choose. And also, yeah, the performance was pretty crappy. At least on portable mode, it worked fine on the TV for me. But I don't care about any of that. This was the first 2D Zelda since A Link Between Worlds. There is so much good in this game. I love it. This is the first Zelda game where you play as Zelda, and it's not just a sword and shield game, so the gameplay approach was totally unique and it was interesting. Yeah, aspects of the ecosystem are annoying, but it was still really original and interesting and fun. Yeah, lots of new systems and mechanics, you get to ride a horse, and the return of actual Zelda dungeons. That alone thrilled me after 8 years of like the new Breath of the Wild Zelda. And even the story was actually really cool. The lore that came with it, that was delivered by the 3 goddesses themselves, that part blew my mind. Din, Nehru, and Ferori, that was the first time you actually heard their voices. It kind of makes sense that Zelda would get to hear them since she's the reincarnation of Hylia, but just the fact that they actually brought the 3 golden goddesses, those characters back, and gave them dialogue, that blew my mind. And then the backstory that they revealed, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but if you know, you know. I mean, look, this game has its flaws. It's not even my favorite 2D Zelda, but I loved it, and I'm definitely gonna replay it sometimes. Number 3, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Can I put a remake on this list? Of course I can, I don't care. Especially when it's one of my favorite games of all time, in a series that has lost its way and had fans begging to come back to this exact style. They could have just ported it on like a GameCube NSO and that would have been fine. They could have remastered it and that would have been more than fine. But they remade it completely from the ground up with the Origami King engine, and it looks gorgeous. And it's the same exact game. It's the best Paper Mario game. One of my favorites of all time. The only negatives is that they changed some of the dialogue. That's kind of lame, but most of it is intact. And it's 30 FPS instead of 60 FPS, but that's because the Origami King engine isn't 30 FPS. And besides, this isn't some high-speed racing or action game where you need 60 FPS. This is like a slow-paced, turn-based combat RPG in a paper world where it makes sense that the movements would be a little bit choppy. And you can't even notice, it looks fine. I can't even believe they revisited this game at all, let alone gave it this amazingly beautiful, perfect remaster. And this is like one of the coolest, edgiest Mario games ever. Hell yeah, it's in my top 5 of the year. Number 2 is Astro Bot. The best Nintendo game of the year wasn't even made by Nintendo. And this game totally deserved the Game of the Year award that it won, but I kind of feel bad for Nintendo because they're like, are you goddamn kidding me? We make games like this all the time, and you guys never even give us the time of day, and now Sony makes one game like this, and you're gonna give them Game of the Year. But I get it, because this game is not just masterpiece of platforming. This game is not just an amazingly fun and endearing video game. This game is like a celebration of gaming itself. Specifically for PlayStation, but not just Sony-owned IPs, but a bunch that got their start and like have their history and are known for being on the PlayStation. I loved every second with this game. Every level is gorgeous and brilliantly designed with tons of content, and the hub world, where you get to just hang out with all the little Astro Bots and all the ones that are based on characters, and each one has the little vending machine toy that you can give them, and they all do their own little reference to the games they're from, and then the way you can like gather them all and control them, it's like a little Pikmin game. Oh, I love it. This should be like the last video game ever created. This is like the ribbon around the box that is the world of video games. And number 1, Silent Hill 2. Yes, another remake, because if you know me, you know my favorite game of all time is the first 4 Silent Hill games. I love them so much that I just count them all as one game. The first 4 Silent Hill games are my favorite game of all time. And I never thought, well, I don't want to say I never thought, I figured Konami would like revitalize the series at some point in some way, but I didn't think they would do a good job of it. And for the 2 years between reveal and release, everyone had their doubts and was shitting on Bloober, including me. I didn't think it would be that good. I was hoping it would be okay, but it was amazing. It doesn't replace the original, but it stands alongside it. I mean, it was extremely faithful, but it still took a few creative liberties, particularly with the level design and the gameplay. They kept intact the atmosphere, story is exactly the same, gameplay is where the most changes are, but overall still very similar. I don't even know what to say. This is my favorite game of all time, and it got a basically perfect remake imagining, and I'm so satisfied with it that I'm seriously looking forward to the hopefully inevitable remakes of 1 and 3. So those are my top 5 games. But what about you? Hit the like button, sub to the channel, and let me know in the comments what are your top 5 games for 2024.